Hi guys, this is Anna and I'm back to tell you guys about my twins' birth story. So my original due date was October 10th, 2018. On October 6th, we had our final non-stress test. They checked the baby's heartbeats, they were great. We had our final ultrasound. The baby A was already head down. Baby B, they confirmed that he was breached. When they made me turn and check the baby A again, they said that they found a third head. So and then the technician was just really confused because how could they miss a third baby when the past few weeks I've been getting ultrasounds every 2 weeks. So I guess it was just a mistake or whatnot. Like, I guess when we were turning, baby was moving around, but when we actually gave birth, baby B was actually breached. So that was kind of like a scare. On that day, it was my sister's birthday celebration. So we went straight to Goldilocks, that is a cake bake shop, and we bought cake for her. And then after that, we went to Jollibee, and my husband and I had our final date, just me and him as parents of two. On that day, I ate really good. I had chicken, white rice, halo-halo. I didn't really think about dieting. I was borderline gestational diabetic. We went to my mom's house. We celebrated with families and friends. On that day, I was feeling really uncomfortable. I wasn't sure if it was Braxton Hicks or contractions. I always had this feeling that I needed to go poop, but I know it's TMI. I've always heard people saying that when you're having contractions, you feel like you needed to go poop, and I never really felt those with my past 2 pregnancies. So I thought I was just eating so much on that day that I needed to go number 2. I had a lot of fun, I would say, the day before I gave birth. That night, after we cleaned up, everybody went home, I just had that feeling that something was gonna happen. Every single night I felt that way, so I'm like, it's gonna be one of those nights again. I'm coming so close to my due date. So anyway, so the past few nights, I always had to wake up 3 to 4 times every night to go pee. So same thing with that night. I woke up around like 3 a.m. I woke up to go pee, and then right when I sat down, there was a small gush of water that came out. So, and then without me pushing. So I'm like, or is that my water breaking, or is that pee? So I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I was getting kind of excited and anxious at the same time. So I put a panty liner on. I said, you know what, I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna see if you know, water keeps coming out, that's my water breaking, but if not, that's just pee. We'll move on. I laid back down, and then when I laid down, more water came out. So I already knew that that was my water break. Some people would say when your water breaks, it's like a one big gush. It's not really. Mine was like, shh. It's like you're peeing and you can't control it. I called my husband and I said, okay, pause right there. Backstory. We live like an hour and 15 minutes away from the hospital. So in my last week of pregnancy, I stayed at my mom's house, and she lives like 20 minutes away from my hospital. And so I didn't want to take that risk to be living so far, and then if my water breaks, I just want to go straight to the hospital. So my husband and I, we've been living 2 separate houses for the past, like, for a couple days or a week. He would be with my son because my son had to go to school, and I'd be with my daughter. The night before that, my husband was celebrating my sister's birthday with us. He went home to Stockton, and I stayed at my mom's house, and then a couple hours later I called him again, so he had to drive back to the Bay Area. So that being said, I called him and I said, hey, my water broke. What should I do? You need to go drive back here. And then he said, go call the hospital and let the nurses know that you're coming. So I did called the nurses there, and I said, hey, my water broke and I tested positive for strep B, so I know I have to go to the hospital. I knocked on my sister's room. They woke up. I told her, hey, my water broke, and she's like, holy cow, really? No wonder you've been feeling so like uncomfortable all day. So she woke up my brother-in-law. The three of us went to the hospital. We got to the hospital like around 3:30 a.m. We went to the triage, and then I waited for my husband there, and he got there right before 4. So it was good that that happened early in the morning because there was no traffic, so my husband was just able to rush to the hospital really fast. So we went to I was at the triage. I told them that I was having twins, and they put the monitor in and all that. And then the nurse came in and told me that she was gonna do a swab to make sure that that was water that broke and it wasn't just pee. And I told her, you know, I'm pretty soaked down there. So she checked and she was like, oh yeah, I don't even need to check. That's definitely your water, because my pad, you know how they put pad under like for you to sit on or lay on, that was like soaking wet. So even when I got to the hospital, my water was still coming out, and inside the car, like our car ride to the hospital, up until I was at the pre-op room, my water was still going. So it didn't really stop. It was like little at the time. When we went to the hospital, we already knew that we were going to have C-section, especially having twins. Around that time, it was already kind of close to change of shift, so that the doctor in charge then recommended to wait for the next doctor to come in to do the C-section. So I was pretty stable. I wasn't having that much contraction. I mean, I was having contraction, but it wasn't like too crazy, like I was about to give birth very soon. So she said, as long as I'm pretty stable, we can wait for the next doctor. So we waited for the next doctor around 7 o'clock, 7:30. I met the doctor, I met the anesthesiologist. But around 8 o'clock, they sent me to the pre-op room. We signed consent stating that I wanted care, I wanted to have a C-section, and also I wanted to have my tubes removed. I had the option of either getting my tubes tied or tubes removed, and I opted for getting it removed because we were done having babies. So I'm gonna have a video about my experiences with birth controls and tubal ligation and a separate video, because if I talk about it right now, this video would be super duper long. So stay tuned for that. So in the pre-op room, they gave me IV. They even checked my sugar level because I did have gestational diabetes or borderline, but everything was okay. So we got ready. My husband changed. At around 8:30, they took me to the operating room and they gave me an epidural anesthesia. Even though that was my 3rd C-section, I was still really scared because they can't let my husband in there while I was getting epidural. So I was by myself. There were 10 medical professionals in there. One of them was the nurses who's been helping me from the pre-operating room and the triage, and I was like holding her hand like this because I was so scared. So yeah, they gave me anesthesia. They numbed me from waist down, and it kind of took a while. They were spraying me with that cold thing and asking me if I can feel that, and I'm like, yeah, I can feel it. And then the anesthesiologist was like, okay, you felt this? Can you feel this? And I'm like, yes, I can feel it. And then he was like, wow. So they kept giving me higher dosage, and I was actually really scared. Like in my head, I was like, wait, what? Is it because this is my 3rd C-section that the epidural is not working anymore? So I was just so scared that I'm gonna feel what they're gonna do. But eventually I was just really nervous. Of course, I got really numbed. I couldn't even move my legs, so that was good. And right when I felt numbed, that's when they inserted the Foley catheter in. So my husband couldn't be there in the operating room while they were prepping me. They let him in when I was fully numb, and ready to go under the knife. At that time, I remember in my head I thought they started cutting me already without my husband being there, so I was really scared. I was like, is my husband here yet? Is he here? Where is he? And then they said, yes, he's coming, don't worry. And then right when I saw him, he walked in, he gave me a kiss on the forehead, and that's when I started crying. I was just really relieved that he was there to comfort me, and he asked me if I was okay. And being my husband is a nurse, I know that he was there to comfort me, and at the same time he was watching everybody else to make sure that they're doing good, and that I know he was watching the monitor more than he was watching me. I remember feeling so much pressure, like had something really heavy like on top of my chest, so I kept crying and crying. And then I remember praying with my husband. Baby A, Kobe, it seemed like it went smooth. They cut me, he came out, we heard him cry right away. It was smooth. I just go by what I hear, because literally I'm like this and all I can see is lights. My husband and my husband's face, it was right here. So I could hear the nurse saying, oh, I can see his head, he's coming out. Boom, October 7th at 9 o'clock a.m. Kobe Ferrer was born. So we heard his beautiful cry. We were so happy. And then we had to do it over again because we had to pull baby B. So with Kyler, or baby B, it took a little longer because he was breached. When they pulled him out, there was the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. So we didn't hear him cry right away. So when he came out, they're like, oh yeah, here's baby B, 9:03 a.m. And the whole room was quiet for a good 5 or 10 seconds because there was no cry. And then even I could feel my husband was kind of nervous, like watching what was going on there. But I guess once they unwrapped the umbilical cord on his neck, we heard him cry, and everybody felt the relief, and everybody like started laughing or clapping, and we were just like, oh my gosh, good, we heard the baby cry. When they were pulling baby B, I felt a lot of pressure. I was just like in so much pain. Not pain with the cut, I didn't feel that, but pain with, I felt so uncomfortable. I couldn't breathe. Like what I said, I felt like something really heavy on my chest, and then I felt so much pressure, like they were like really pushing my stomach, like somebody was punching me there and I couldn't move. So yeah, so I was just crying so much. So the nurse took the babies to check their height, their weight, and their vital signs, and Franklin had to leave me and follow them, and I was perfectly okay with that. So while they were doing that, they started my tubal removal. Before they started that, the doctor asked me if I really wanted to get my tubes removed because there's no going back. So I said, yes, doctor. So they did that, and I had the impression that when my tubes are going to be removed, it's going to be short and easy and fast. All they had to do was cut it, and that's it, and then, you know, stitch me back up. But it seemed like it took a long time. I also remember being in so much pain because they kept pushing on my stomach. It seemed like getting my tubes removed was worse or was more painful than giving birth to my twins. And when they were doing that, they finally brought Kobe to me. I was able to have that first moment with him. I kissed him, and then they brought Kyler to me also. I had a couple minutes with each twin, and then I was able to kiss them and look at them, but I couldn't really focus because I was in so much pain, to a point where I had, like, you know, Kyler was like right here. I was like trying to kiss them and saying I love you, and I had to like look away because I couldn't focus. I was just in so much pain. I just wanted it to be over. It took a while for them to finish up. They had to stitch me back up, clean me up. They moved me to a separate bed. So my twins and Franklin, they left the room. They went to the recovery room first. or actually they asked Franklin if he wanted to follow the twins, and then Franklin asked me if it's okay for him to leave me, and of course I said go follow the twins. He was also kind of paranoid to make sure they're not gonna switch baby A and baby B, or he wanted to make sure that daddy's gonna be with the twins from beginning to end. They finally rolled me to the recovery room. I was able to pull myself together, rest for a little bit. I was feeling really cold. I was really nauseous, like I felt like I needed to throw up. I was out of breath, and finally I was able to hold my twins. I was able to have skin to skin with them, and the nurses checked to see if my milk came in, and I was able to breastfeed the babies. I had colostrum, so it was really nice to have those first moments with my twins. So we waited until I was stable and my bleeding wasn't as bad before they moved me to the postpartum room. So one of the things that I hate the most after having the C-section is moving from the operating room bed to the postpartum bed. Like, I had to transfer beds and I had to do it by myself. So basically what they do is they put the bed together and then I have to scoot over, and I took my time, but that was really painful because, you know, I just had surgery. I was really nauseous and it hurts to move. So that's one of the things that I dread. But that time it wasn't as bad, but it was still painful. And we were also really lucky to have a big room. It was like big where you can fit like 4 beds in there. We had it all to ourselves, but I'm not gonna complain because we had a lot of guests that came in. But we were able to kind of settle in the room. My husband took a nap right away while the babies were sleeping. I took a nap too, and I remember waking up because I felt really nauseous that I had to throw up. So I actually threw up, and what you don't really realize is when you throw up, you use so much muscles from your stomach, and it was hard. I remember I was throwing up like this, like it was like all over my chin because I couldn't really bend over. That's something that I couldn't forget for some reason. So Kian and Kara came and met the twins. So all throughout our pregnancy, we always talk to Kian and Kara about we're gonna have babies soon, we're gonna have twins, we're gonna have 2 babies. So they weren't really surprised about it. Also, it was Kian's second time, so all they wanted to do was to kiss the baby and hug the baby. And Kara, she knew there was babies. She wanted to kiss and hug them. What she did not understand was mommy was in pain, so I couldn't really pick her up and carry her. She wanted to go into my bed, give mommy hugs and kisses, because I kind of disappeared the night before she woke up and I wasn't next to her. At first, I didn't want any guests just yet. I wanted the guests to come in the next day, just so I can kind of settle in, kind of rest some more, and we can settle in with the twins. Actually, it worked out better that they came in the same day. So the next couple of days, we were able to just rest to ourselves. I mean, we had guests here and there, but it wasn't like a big crowd. Oh. So when I gave birth, I was exactly 36 weeks and 4 days. So my milk didn't really come in yet. I had colostrum, but it wasn't a lot. So we had to give the babies formula, and that was okay with me. Frank would take 1 baby, I'll take 1 baby, we'll feed them, burp them. Frank's the one who have to change their diaper because I couldn't really get up yet. So it was just smooth. The next day, they took my catheter out. I was walking. What I learned was to control your pain, so you have to make sure that you take your medication first before you feel the pain. So we stayed at the hospital for 5 days. We were going to be discharged on our 4th day, but we thought we'll just stay for 1 more night to be settled in. We wanted to take advantage of all the help that we had because there were nights where the twins were still crying, so they took them to the nursery, and then we were able to nap for a good 3 hours, and I was still recovering. It was going smooth, but slowly. I didn't want to be too hard on myself, we wanted to make sure that when we go home, we were settled, my pain was less or controlled, and I'm able to walk more, because once we go home, it's just gonna be me, my husband, 4 kids, and my in-laws are there to help, of course, but it's just different when you're in the hospital. Experienced nurses are there to help you, and yeah. So yeah, I pretty much covered everything about my twins' birth story. So I did made some notes here, but if you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave it down below. Maybe I'll have a part 2 about this. I am planning to do a twins newborn or 8 weeks update soon, so stay tuned. If you guys have any questions, leave it down below, or if you guys have any suggestions, let me know so I can cover that on the next video. So yeah, we are so blessed to finally have our 2 healthy baby boys. I'm so happy that Kian and Kara loves them. I was able to recover really smoothly this time around. We were able to settle in pretty good. The next few nights were pretty smooth. It was easier than what we had expected. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you guys haven't yet, please subscribe, hit the like button. If you guys haven't yet, please watch my twins pregnancy story. I'll have the link down below. Watch out for my postpartum and twins monthly updates. So I hope you guys have a good day. Bye!